chapter at the Soldiers and Scouters.
Yes.
This is just an update, but we will be doing a resolution at the end of it as well. Okay, go ahead. And the presentation, we need that to be up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to advance the slides?
Sorry?
Is it easier for me to advance the slides or?
Well, first let's get it up. Alex, if you could put up that the presentation that was forwarded earlier to you.
Slides.
Okay, and would it be okay, Alex, if somebody maneuvers that from here, or would you prefer to do it? What is easier and less glitchy?
I could, I don't mind doing it from here. If somebody, tells me when to go to the next slide, that's fine.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Okay, so I'm Sybil Young, I'm Parks' Historic Preservation Officer, as mentioned here with Margaret Bracken, and also we have on our Zoom our architect Lang Pugh from WXY Architects. They are the lead designers for this project. And as noted, this is an update on the lighting and infrastructure at the project, at the site. Next slide. But as many of you know, or to remind you, and as for anyone who missed the first presentation, this project is a complete restoration of the monument, all of its, the interior, exterior, the terraces, retaining walls, balustrades, and then also it will provide for ADA compliant access to all levels of the monument. And this is the plan that you see in front of you here. Next slide. And a rendering of that plan showing those new paths and walks that bring you up to the monument. Since we were last here, we did go to a public hearing at the Landmarks Commission and a public hearing at the Public Design Commission and have approval for this work. Next slide. So the design objectives for the lighting were to remove some existing lighting that was not particularly sensitively designed, to provide new lighting that is low maintenance, and also to minimize impacts on birds and bird migration. Next slide. And then we are also providing new electrical service for that lighting and new water service, which requires the installation of some infrastructure that we are placing sensitively within the site to be sensitive to the scenic landmark and the monument. Next slide. There's our site at West 89th Street. Next slide. Historic image from 1911 and the monument today. Next slide. Just again, a reminder of that extensive restoration scope that the project also includes. The all the paving at the plaza is going to be removed, restored and replaced, a new drainage system installed. It's going to be fully repointed, cleaned, interior and exterior. The mosaic floor within the monument will be restored. Next slide. This is a rendering showing the existing lighting. Currently, the architectural lighting is provided by those tall floodlights you see closest to the monument. Next slide. And this is just an image of those 25-foot floodlights, which we are proposing to remove. Next slide. And then the other existing lighting is the standard beat poles throughout the site and one Bishop Crook pole. Next slide. So this is the current architectural lighting at the monument, which, as you can see, is not particularly flattering to the monument. Next slide.
It's like Halloween.
And some more night images. The team has been out at the site during the night to assess the existing lighting to make sure it's adequate for the paths and stairs. Next slide. Next slide. So this is the proposed lighting plan, which includes installing LED fixtures within the drum of the monument behind the columns so that they won't be visible. The team has done sightline studies to make sure they will not be visible. We did look at more extensive lighting of the monument by installing poles throughout the site to illuminate it from below. However, having had conversations with the New York City Bird Alliance, formerly the Audubon Society, we learned that for many months of the year, we would have to turn those off to not endanger birds and affect migration. So our lighting team came up with this design, which is all lit from within the monument and will not have those effects on bird migration, and creates this kind of lantern effect that you see here. Next slide. So this is in plan showing where the light fixtures will be installed, again, behind the columns. Next slide. This is the actual fixture, which is virtually maintenance free. It will be painted gray to match the LED flashing on which it will sit. Next slide. The design team is working on a system to attach the lights to the monument so that they won't do any damage to the stone. Next slide. And also including a bird wire deterrent still in progress. The design for that is. Next slide. So here is the existing lighting in plan. The X's show those 25-foot floodlights, which will be removed. And then the 4 orange dots represent beep poles that need to be relocated to accommodate the new path system. And then the rest of the lighting will remain as is. Next slide. Here is the proposed plan showing the relocated beep poles. Next slide. A rendering of the existing lighting. Next. And then at night, showing the
That's really dramatic.
lighting of the monument. Next slide. So in order to,
Sorry, Sybil, I just want that daytime rendering is the daytime rendering of the proposed. So it just is showing the removal of the ugly poles and the relocation of the B poles. So
right,
it completely matches this view.
yes. So to bring the electrical service needed for the lighting, we do need to install 2 electrical boxes, which are the 2 red dots you see on the west here. And then to bring the water service, we're proposing to bring water service because, as you probably saw in the renderings, the new paths are very densely planted. So we want the park to be able to maintain and easily water those. And for that reason, we need to install an RPZ that is required, and that is the 2 other red dots to the west. Next slide. This is just a zoom in of that, schematically showing that we will be screening them with plantings. Next slide. This is the proposed planting palette to screen those units. Next slide. These are the proposed electrical cabinet dimensions. Unfortunately, they do have to be rather large. We have pushed our design team to make them as small as possible, but this is probably as small as they're going to get. Next slide. And the proposed RPZ. Next slide.
It's kind of hard to see how tall are
Yeah.
they? I couldn't quite read the.
Sure. Can you go back? So this is 3 foot 10 inches tall, and then the electrical cabinets are 6 feet tall.
They'll be camouflaged by bushes and stuff?
Yeah, there'll be some
Okay.
images of that next.
I'm sorry, it's Ethel. Where are the electrical cabinets shown? You have the diagram, but where are they located in relation to the entire monument? I see it there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, down in this photo. I'm not clear where they were placed.
Sure. If you want to go back, I think a couple slides to the plan.
Yeah,
One more, or sorry, keep going back. here, or actually the one before this is probably best. So, yeah, it's a little hard to see, but they are being placed in a planting bed that's between Riverside Drive and the monument, and shown in red here. The ones closest to Riverside Drive are the electrical cabinets, and then the two squares closer to the monument are the RPZ.
Sorry, what is that?
Well,
Sorry.
forgive me, it may be me, and others may know this better. I'm not quite clear as I look at this drawing too, where exactly the cabinets are, and then the green and the red. The flowers that are around the cabinets, or what's the relationship?
Yes, the green shows the screening around the cabinets. It might become more clear. We're going to show some renderings of them in the landscape, so it might become more clear when we get to those renderings.
I mean, forgive me, I may not be the best of it, but it's not as clear as it could be for the layperson in the renderings.
Sure, understood.
Ethel, we'll come back to this point.
Yeah, maybe we can use a pointer.
Yeah, maybe we go along with the presentation and we'll come back to this point if people still have questions.
Sure.
So and on your question about what it is, it's a
Yeah.
backflow prevention device. Like when we tap into the city system, we have to have this, DP requires us to install the system to stop it kind of backing into the, it's a requirement.
You should call it RPZ.
Yes.
So this is a view from Riverside Drive looking west. The two black boxes are the electrical cabinets. Next slide.
That answers Ethel's question.
Yeah.
Ethel, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this is what we hope the screening will do once it's
We keep a little white line. Just
Yes, sure.
Just in case we lose them.
Oh, where'd they go?
next slide.
In the winter, will it be more visible as or is the greenery?
They're meant to be evergreen,
Yeah,
so
the choice of
The-
the two different kinds of shrubs are evergreen or predominantly evergreen. Yes, and large enough to
cover?
screen.
yeah, I think they're.
There you go.
And here is the RPZ. This is looking east. And next slide. With the screening.
You know, you see those all around and I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always at construction sites or near, the strips. I have no idea. Thank you.
Next slide. Now we're looking south. Next slide. And screening. Next slide. So as I mentioned, as part of the restoration, we are taking up all of the plaza and replacing the concrete subbase and installing a new drainage system. And as part of that work, we will now be installing square and trench drains. You see in orange here the square drains that are proposed for the plazas, and then in blue are the trench drains. Next slide. And these are the drain types and finishes. Next slide. And that is it. Happy to answer any questions.
Just before the thank you, can I just look at may I just ask, is this the best nighttime lighting that this is the way it is to look? And if so, at least I see the very clear lighting within I call it the bulb and all, but then going up the steps and the lights around, maybe it's in the rendering, and if it's at night, it sort of looks pinkish lighting, and that may just be in the rendering, but I find it is this the maximum? I mean, obviously the steps and all of that, that's that's where pedestrians will be. They're not, and this will be to be seen, I guess, for miles and in the park. So I just wanted to understand the kind of lighting that you are proposing, especially at night, obviously.
Yeah, so the pink may be, the read of pink may be because we are going back to the herringbone brick patterning of the plazas, which maybe make this rendering look a little pink. But the B poles are just the standard poles that are throughout the park. And the design team has gone out there at night to make sure that the lighting around the monument is adequate, and they are also going to be running more lighting calculations to confirm that. And then the lighting on the monument itself is all LED lighting.
Thank you. Got any other questions around the table?
You can go first. Yeah.
I was just wondering, are there hours of operation for the monument? Like, the darkness, to me, it seems like you've lit the pathways and it's not really intended to be sort of looked around at night, but I don't know if that's true.
Good evening. The lights on the poles are the normal park lights, and they're on all night long, so it's dark. The lights within the monument, so is going to be on like the whole night, or
They'll be programmed to kind of fade throughout the night, because we don't want them at like full blast at certain hours.
Window,
So so the lighting designers will be figuring out the best programming for the lights. But yeah, they will.
So there'll be street lights as there would normally be throughout the park, and then this, this blast of light won't be blasting into people's homes, even though it's at a lower level than the apartment buildings around that. That makes the most sense.
Right.
Yeah.
They also will be programmed to address earlier dimming during the migration period, the bird migration periods. So they'll dim earlier in the evening, closer to what they call last light, basically.
First, I want to say that I personally think that the lighting inside the monument is brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's gorgeous, and it's just a very it's innovative, and it's amazing. Thank you. I saw in the first slide, I think that this is completely mayoral funded. $62.3 million is really. That's unbelievable. Look. And also, lastly, if you're putting in water for watering plants, how about a water fountain?
You don't look at putting a water fountain in the area.
If it's.
That's a good one.
We have one on Soldiers and Sailors Plaza on the south of, the Export Plaza that's immediately south of the monument. There is one on the south.
Oh, all right, okay.
So that's
It was
the
just
closest.
just.
No, it's it's something that we typically comes up when we're putting a new water installation. Do you have any thoughts, John, about that, please?
we didn't think of it because there is one there. So
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there's one there, then you don't really need one.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice amenity for people. Good point, Barbara.
Yeah.
During those long Shakespeare productions on the north side.
May I? Sorry.
Just a second, Ethel. Is there anybody else in the room who has a question? Around the table?
Sorry, it's the microphones. Can you hear me for one question?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Just in the wonderful renderings, the last ones, seeing the, of course, the front leading up to the steps and all of it, I then looked at going around the back of the monument, because people do using that. Would the lighting there be the same as on the front of the monument as you have described it? There's also usually a theater group and other things that go around the monument, and then it's a kind of a stage. They use it, and then going down closer to the water, And so I just wondered if the lighting in the back it will be the same, roughly speaking, as the very wonderful lighting that you are installing in the entire front of it. And the second thing, which is a minor madness of my own, therefore I won't, but I do know that there is an interior in the monument. And I have often heard talks or assertions that at some time there was a little gallery there. It could be a little museum, could be, I have no idea if that is correct, but it has been mentioned over the many years.
So to answer your first question, yes, the lighting around the entire monument is consistent, so it
That's
will
great.
look the same from any angle. Regarding the interior, that is part of the project and it's being fully restored. It's a very small space. Maybe John can speak to when it would be open.
We are very excited at the possibility of opening it because it is beautiful.
Oh, how wonderful.
Public should see. We have yet to devise what that will look like. One idea is we have docents who can give tours. As Sybil said, it doesn't really lend itself to any kind of an event. It's really kind of this corner over here. It's not really very big, but it's certainly a beautiful thing to go in and absorb and experience. And that's what we look forward to.
That would be a wonderful and remarkable asset if possible.
Yeah.
During Open House New York, I remember going in there.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
right.
really very exciting. It was lovely.
There's also like an ADA compliancy layer to this as well, where as Sybil said, we're providing ADA access to all of the terraces all around. But, you know, it's impossible to provide, you know, permanent ADA access into the interior itself without a really significant impact. So we would look at doing some kind of seasonal ramping in the way that we do for the current Memorial Day event to provide, you know, access for certain events.
Is there I'm almost afraid to ask timeline for the project at this point?
Well, we're nearing the end of design. Our team's been working very hard to meet all their deadlines, and the design completion is supposed to be this summer. And typically our bidding and procurement phase is about 9 months. So, you know, we're looking at maybe construction in the spring of next year.
And the area around it will then presumably be more blocked off than it is
Yes,
right
it will
now.
be, it'll have to be shut off for some time.
I did recently came across my great-grandfather's Civil War record, so it gave a little bit more life to you know, the relationship to the monument. Yeah.
Anybody else online who has a question?
I have a question for Margaret. When is Cherry Walk opening?
Well, we were hoping it's going to be the end of the month. The only thing that's remaining, the construction fence is still up. They have to come back and do those topical, you know, the line stripings, the white greenway markings. And the weather has been a little bit up and down, and that's temperature sensitive. So we're told that they're going to do that this week. Seems the weather is warming up. So we're still optimistic that we'll be opening, you know, in the next week or two.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Not by the end of the month and soon after.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, you had some questions, right?
Yeah, just a few. So the innovative part, the part that I really wanted to learn a little bit more about was the underground lighting. I wonder if you could go to that slide so you can describe a little bit more about what's happening, because it's very specific and I don't think I quite got it. So could we take a look at that slide? Alex, can you bring it back up? I think it was like slide 19 or 20 on the deck. And I guess the question is, guys are trying to figure out placement of it. What are the options without filling in? Would you have to place it on the ground? That would take up space, or where would it go?
It's on that roof area within the drum. I think Lang and his team have been looking at this and trying to create a way that it does not have to drill at the monument. Lang, do you want to speak a little bit about what you and the conservators have been thinking about there? I know it's not maybe finalized, but.
Yeah, if we go to the elevation, I think that blue image first, I just want to go back to the first slide in the design.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue one. You went past it. It's the blue background, the dark blue background. So at the base of the columns, there's a small roof area. There's about 3 feet between the back of the columns and the vertical face of the drum. And so we are placing the fixtures there so that during the day, you're not even aware that there's a light source. It's completely concealed. We also have developed a frame, much like you would have for a theatrical lighting condition, so that this fixtures can be essentially weighted in place, and they will be connected all the way around by conduit. So that way, we're not even drilling into the monument to support these fixtures. We will be feeding electric up through the vault that is below the monument and into this space above. So there'll be a few penetrations at the foundation level and a few at the base of the drum. But after that, everything is just laying down on that roof area. And
I was just
Sorry.
going to ask, is that roof area accessible at all to the public? Is that something that they can reach or climb up to or anything like that?
It is possible to, although it's difficult. And there is evidence that people have done it before with graffiti and things like that, but it isn't the easiest thing to do. And since the fixtures are concealed essentially during the day, we don't think that it's an attraction to get up there. So we feel like this is the best place to do it. The reason that we went away from poles is not just because of the bird aspect of it, but actually they'll be even harder to maintain. Some of them would have to be quite tall because of the change in grade from the front to the back. If you were to try to, and we couldn't even in our best attempts get a full 360-degree effect. The north side would have been darker than the south side. And so our decision was to tuck these in, get a full 360-degree effect so that this has a presence that no matter where you see it, it's a familiar and understandable effect. And the other approach with poles was leading us down a path of being more of a theatrical effect where you blast one side and the other side is just getting a little bit of spill. So all sorts of things. The birds really sealed it for us once we went and spoke with the Bird Alliance, but because we really didn't want to do a program, it would have been theoretically possible to do all of this and program the lights to dim to their specs, but it would have looked like for a third of the year, lights were out, which is not a good look.
Right. I would just encourage if you're gonna, because it makes sense not to use the poles. I would just encourage you guys to create some type of barrier, just because the concern I have is, like people putting things or drawing things on the light, and this beautiful monument then has to constantly be upkept, or someone throws like a bat signal on it. Like that's the type of stuff that I know some of it is really
totally
hard.
understand.
So I would just try to make it a little bit more inaccessible because it's very inviting.
So the fixtures themselves will come with a replaceable film that covers the lens. So if someone does draw on it, it's possible to peel that film off and put new film on. So that's the general approach for how to deal with this. If we do anything more prominent than that, it's going to start to get difficult to conceal it from different views, which landmarks will have a hard time proving.
Thank you. And the other question I had was, is this gonna add any length at all to the restoration, or is it pretty much tucked within the current timeline you guys have?
This is tucked within the current timeline.
Tucked,
And so this has always been part of the scope. It's just, you know, everything's been going on while this is being worked on.
Great, thank you.
I just had one question to Seema's point. Seema, was your question answered? Like, to me, it just seemed like the area immediately around the monument seemed very dark at night, in your rendering at least. Like, I wouldn't want to be there in the evening. And I don't know if that's just the way it's turning out in the rendering, maybe a few slides down. Alex, if you could. Like the pathways and the monument itself is beautiful. But immediately around it, it seems like in this. So I don't know if you were.
Do you, well, no, we in discussions with parks, we determined that lighting the plazas around the monument were not a priority. That the paths are important, but that the monument itself is a daytime experience. The lantern effect is what we were going for, which is more of a civic experience as opposed to a presence experience.
No rock concerts.
All right.
I actually have one question that Daria's comments made me think of, which is, yeah, are we putting aside any money or any maintenance stuff for, like, unfortunately people are gonna graffiti it and break bricks and stuff. So is it gonna be easier to clean in the future, or same kind of thing over time?
Well,
It'd be sad if we spend all this money to make the beautiful thing, but we don't have the maintenance, and then when, like, the kid breaks the, you know, all the glass.
I mean, we will have backup fixtures for the lighting. But unfortunately associated with the project, there's not a fund for future maintenance or. We'll know how to remove it though, because we're doing all this testing and the paint removal, so we'll keep those specs, and if it happens, we'll be ready.
And our art and antiquities crew work incredibly hard citywide. And they're very invested and have been very much part of this process. So they will be keeping an eye on it, as they do with all of the monuments in Riverside Park annually.
There, I have that conversation with conservancy. The idea of longer term, not so much the day to day, but so that it isn't every 60 years we have to spend whatever it'll be, 500 million the next time to completely restore it. We'd rather maintain it as we go along. Yeah. The day to day, like removing graffiti, things like that, that's regular park maintenance. To your point, like rust, you know, water penetration, etc. 30 years from now, right? Yeah, right. Great.
Great, check online.
Okay. So.
Yeah, so I wanted to call the question, you guys are looking for a resolution on this. Okay, so today's vote will be to approve the plans on lighting and infrastructure related to the Soldiers of CLS Monument as presented today by the Parks Department. So all in favor?
Committee members. Eight people in the room.
Yep.
9, 10 online, so.
Yep.
It's unanimous.
Non-committee members?
Anybody against? Anybody not voting for cause? Anybody abstaining? All right, seems to be unanimous. And you've already had a hearing at,
We had a public hearing for the pathways and ramps to the monument, and presented the restoration work as well, but not this additional work. We're going back to the landmarks commission with this.
When are you gonna go back to?
We should be submitting very soon.
Okay.
But I don't know about, public hearing date or, what will be required until they've reviewed the proposal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's very exciting.
Yeah,
Thank you, John, for coming.
I'm sorry.
No,
No,
that's
no.
okay.
No, you were here. That's the most important thing.
Everybody's welcome.
And you get to make an
stay for the
entrance.
rest of the meeting if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Len.
Thank you, Len.
So our next item on the agenda is, it is, the educational outreach for curbside composting. We have a representative from the Lower East Side Ecology Center, Azra, online.
Hi, everyone. So much.
Oh, yeah. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you all for having me tonight. I just want to make sure you see my slides. Do you see my slides?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so my name is Azra. I'm one of the curbside composting coordinators at the Lower East Side Ecology Center. A little bit about the Ecology Center. We're an environmental nonprofit founded in 1987 by Christina Dotz. We are one of the leading community composting organizations in New York City. We hosted food scrap drop-off sites well before there was curbside composting in the city. Curbside composting in the city started approximately 10 years ago when it was a pilot program, and there was curbside composting in some community boards. Now it's exciting that it's citywide and it's standardized that it's the same day as your recycling day all throughout the city. But yeah, in the Lower East Side Ecology Center, we have community composting services and e-waste services, environmental stewardship opportunities, and educational programming. And we also have a curbside composting outreach team. So we're happy to do curbside outreach in your building. We also provide site-specific guidance, so feel free to reach out to us if you'd like for us to do a presentation in your building or do an educational info table in your building as well. Now let's go into why composting is so important. There's so many benefits to composting. It reduces the amount of methane emissions going into landfills. Methane is an extremely potent greenhouse gas, significantly more potent than carbon dioxide. Over a third of our organics are being landfilled. Instead, we can make compost out of that, which builds healthy soil, and it absorbs stormwater as well. And unfortunately, when our food scraps and our waste is landfilled, it is going to predominantly communities of color and low-income communities, and it's negatively impacting their health and their environment. Also, it is extremely expensive for our food waste and our waste in general being shipped out of state, hundreds of miles away. So with composting and building composting, it's better for the environment and better. It is better to have. It increases resiliency. Okay, so the separation of yard waste and food scraps is now mandatory in New York City under Local Law 85 of 2023. It is for It is the same day as your recycling day. Your food waste must be in a bin that's 55 gallons or less with a what to compost decal. You could also use the curbside composting decal, the brown bin that the city provides, or you can use your own bin. And buildings must provide a clearly marked storage area for your organics. Fines did kick in. They started April 1st. And actually, as of last Friday, this was announced that fines will only be issued to buildings that have 30 units or more and that have received more than 4 warnings for violations. So that is approximately like 3% of residences, but it does, and that is till the end of the year. And then starting next year is when fines will go into effect for all residences. So what goes in the curbside bin? Leaf and yard waste, leaves, twigs, plants, food scraps, meat, dairy, and bones, they all go into the curbside composting bin. They also go into the smart bin. I'm sure you've seen like the orange smart bins in the city as well. They also take meat, dairy, and bones. But the food scrap drop-off sites, the green bins that you'll see in like pop-ups and community gardens, for example, they usually don't take meat, dairy, and bones. And then any food soiled paper, like if you have napkins or towels or tea bags that are food soils, they can also go in there, as well as plates, as long as they're not like coated with any plastic at all. And then metal and glass and plastic and clean paper, pet waste, medical waste, diaper waste, hygiene products, and foam cannot go into the curbside composting. It's only food waste that can go in the curbside composting bin. And also you can line your personal bin in your kitchen. If you have like a yogurt container or Tupperware container, you can line that with any bag that you'd like. It could be a compostable, a BPI compostable certified bag. It could be a plastic bag, like if you reused sandwich bags or so things like that, that's totally fine. And also like paper bags can also go in there. And these are the 3 composting options in New York City that I had talked about. So you have the residential curbside composting bin, which is what I'm talking about and I do outreach on, the smart bins as well. So both locations, both these, they can take meat, dairy, and bones. You could also put compostable plastic bags or paper bags, all of the above. But with the food scrap drop-off sites, they do not take plastic bags and they do not take meat, dairy, and bones. So that's the difference there. And also for curbside composting, since it became citywide, approximately half of organics is now going to Freshkins Staten Island, which is an industrial facility, and they make finished compost out of it and distribute it back to the community. And then the other half is going to Newtown Creek, the wastewater treatment plant that where organics and sewage are digested and it is repurposed to fuel homes and electrify buildings. So they make bioenergy out of it as well. So these are some tips of how to store your food waste at home. It can be a Tupperware container, it can be plastic bags, paper bags, compostable bags. I love this example here actually by Jacqueline Ottman, how she used her regular trash bin and she clipped a bag for her organics. So she didn't change too much of her lifestyle to be able to separate her food waste from regular garbage. And also yogurt containers as well. Various different ways you could separate your food waste from regular garbage. And like I said, our team is here to help. We're happy to do educational outreach in your building. And as well as to building staff and residents, feel free to reach out to us. Our email is curbside compost at lesecologycenter.org. Thank you so much. Let me know if there's any questions.
Thank you, Azra. I think we have forwarded you a question that we received from a member of the public. Were you able to get that?
Yeah, I did get that question, and I had answered it too, like while I was speaking about you can line it with any bag. Like you're in your kitchen, you can line it with any bag. Let's say you have a yogurt container or like a plastic bag. You can put your plastic bag in the brown bin. They have a machine in the industrial facility that separates plastic bags from the organics. But when you put your brown bin or your curbside composting bin out on the curb, it is recommended that you line it with a clear plastic bag as you would for recycling. It's easier to maintain the bin. It's easier to keep it clean. It's also easier for sanitation to pick it up.
And so you can put like even yogurt boxes into the bin?
No, I'm sorry. I was just using that as an example of like, that's like a system you can use to separate your food waste from regular garbage. But it could be Tupperware. It can be the awesome 1 gallon kitchen containers that DSNY gives out at outreach events. Yeah, it can
be. If we wanted to get liners, because that's one question that has come up. If we wanted to get liners for the brown bins, does the city give them out? Like, how does one get those?
The liners for the brown bins.
The brown bins, yeah.
Yeah. That is a great question. It is okay to use a translucent bag or a compostable bag, but I'm not sure if there's certain bags that the city recommends, and I could follow up with you on that. But any is fine, as like it can be a compostable bag, it can be a clear plastic bag. Clear plastic bag, highly recommended, because we found that the compostable bags, when they're being lined, they're like flimsy, they break easily. So highly recommend to use a clear plastic bag as you would for recycling.
Okay, so we'll go around the room. Do you have a question?
No, I mean, I was gonna answer, you can buy compostable bags, I just did, and they're pretty strong. I got them on Don't Hate Me Amazon.
Great.
But
Yeah.
and they're
No,
biodegradable.
actually, one question from the public was about lining the actual
thing. Yeah, right.
itself.
That's
And if that is a
bag.
requirement, and if so, then do we get it from somewhere like the city?
I can find that because my building's doing it.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Seema.
So I have two questions. One, I have not been able to find compostable bags that fit 20-gallon brown bins. So therefore I could use a clear plastic bag, I guess. Because I don't think they make them that big, I don't think. Or at least I haven't found them. My other question is, so we've been composting. I'm worried about having the compost sitting out there for a whole week. And I'm wondering if those brown bins are like actually airtight enough to prevent smells and rodents and all that.
Yeah, that's a good question. As long as you're lining the bin and also adding like brown matter to it, and then also tying the bag. Tying the bag, even tying the individual bags will really help. But definitely tying bags and then adding more brown matter, especially in like the bottom of the bin. If you can add like, food soil pizza boxes or like napkins, any way to like absorb odor as well would help.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room?
Let's look at 2 questions.
Okay.
One is, did batteries go in the orange bins, the smart bins? Can you put batteries in them?
No, they don't go in the smart bins.
Okay, what does one do
The
with
smart.
batteries?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
What should one do with used batteries?
You can actually DSNY has safe events. If you go on nyc.gov/safe events, I'm actually going to type it in the chat. But they have events where you can bring that to their
Actually, now Staples takes them.
Yeah.
Those days Staples, yeah, you can just walk
But the
in any.
smart bins are also for organics. Like you need a basically you'll download an app. It's called NYC Compost. It's a free app and it shows you all the smart bins in New York City, and you actually need to use the app to open the smart bin. And that's a way to ensure that the people that are using the bins, they're actually putting organics in there and they're not putting, trash, regular trash or.
Second question, is there any possibility of an Upper West Side ecology center?
That's a great question. I love that question. Well, we're happy to do outreach there. So we'd love to collaborate with you.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
Thank you.
Barbara, you had something?
I had a few questions, please. First of all, how do you check that buildings are doing what they're supposed to do in terms of collecting scraps and then putting them out for pickup?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, every building that has 4+ units needs to have a clearly marked area. Just like for recycling, it needs to have a clearly marked area for their organics. So the bin has to be there, has to be labeled. And then basically DSNY enforcement would be coming to check your regular garbage. And if there's food waste in your regular garbage, that's how people are getting fined. That's how buildings are getting fined. I'm sorry, excuse me. That's how buildings are getting fined. Like I mentioned, now it's only buildings that have 30 or more units that have had 4 or more warnings for violations that are getting fines for non-compliance. So there's still time for residents to acclimate to this new change. But starting next year is when fines for non-compliance for all buildings will go into effect.
I have a few. Oh, thank you. So second question is, these brown bins are relatively small. My building has one of them. We have 90 units. I do have some outdoor space, and there's garden stuff that gets collected and leaves in the fall. I would need much more than one bin to deal with that.
Yep, I understand. Yeah, so you can definitely order, if you want the brown bin in particular, you can order it online on bins.nyc and you'll see that the brown one's there. It's approximately $41 and it is a 91-gallon bin. Or you can use a bin of your own. The bin just can't be larger than 55 gallons and it needs to have a secure lid. And you just put that what to compost decal on it. Those decals can all be ordered for free online on nyc.gov/sanitation materials. And you can use that. But if you just have leaf and yard waste, if it's just leaf and yard waste, there's no food waste in there, you can put that in a clear plastic bag or a paper bag next to your brown bin when you set it out on your recycling day.
Thank you. You had said that the annual cost of waste export was 450 million. What is the cost of this program?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't have the exact number, but I'm happy to follow up with you on that.
I'd be very interested. And my last question, sorry for so many questions.
No, I love it. Thank you.
I have a sink disposer in my kitchen and I have had for 40 years. So I'm sure you have negative things to say about them, but I'd like to know what they are and why people are not encouraged to get sink disposers, which you know, grinds up the food and it goes back into the waste, into water.
Yeah, but I'm curious about the amount that can go down there. That would be my question. Would it be like particles or like everything? Like all your food waste?
Every building's different, depends upon the infrastructure, depends upon how many units there are, and that's, so there's really no way to discern, yeah.
Considering that a building can accommodate disposers, and mine can, are there negative feelings about that?
Yeah, it's a,
I didn't
yeah.
think they
Go
really in
ahead.
New York.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not a picture anymore. They're putting in new developments.
No, go ahead, Ezra.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to follow up with you on that.
Okay, Linda, let me get somebody else who hasn't gone. Anybody else in the room who hasn't gone so far, who has a question? Okay, somebody like Peter Arnston has his hand up, so maybe online we could go to Peter now. Go ahead.
Hi,
Peter.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great. So real quick for Barbara, one of the things is that we would need an additional sewage treatment plant,
Yeah.
ideally down in the lower section of the district. I mean, we've got the one at North River, but that one is over capacity and often has problems. Having the material going through the sink adds to it and is a problem because it makes it over capacity more often. Also, it flushes out into the river whenever there's more than an inch of rain. So that's part of the problem there. I was actually raising my hand. I have worms that were sold by Lower East Side years ago, and have been worm composting since the mid 80s up on our roof, and it works very well. It's a great system, and Christina Dotz, who started it, was very active in educating people on how to do it, and that works well. But okay, that was, so Lower East Side is a great organization. The Upper West Side used to have a recycling center based out of the cathedral at 113th Street. And they stopped doing that a number of years ago. It takes a huge amount of energy, and Lower East Side has been able to mobilize and build itself up to be able to handle it. Upper West Side still puts out a newsletter a couple of times a year that are worthwhile, and it gives information about how to recycle and how to lower your waste. But they no longer provide recycling in general. They used to come out to our events, the bid events on the streets to collect textiles, but that's now handled by other people also. So those are some background things. But Lower East Side, thank you very much for everything you've done over the years. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your insight and for sharing that information about your worm bin too. We do still we host e-waste events, and you'll find all those events on our website as well, lesecologycenter.org, if anyone's interested.
Anybody else online who has a question? Oh yeah, Linda.
No, what I was going to say, there's something wonderful about it, but there's also something inherently punitive towards landlords, towards co-ops, towards condominiums, because you're asking the buildings to, and the boards, you know, the associations and to monitor individual residents' behavior, and that's a problem. And so if you've got a bag where somebody wasn't complying and they threw out their garbage, that building, that whether it's a landlord, whether it's a co-op board, whether it's a condo association, they're going to get, they don't know who did it in the building if you've got more than 30 units, and they're going to get fined, and the fines are going to go up exponentially. So there's something about this that, as wonderful it is, and I do have my composting in home, but there's something about it that is also punitive, and it's also defining other people's behavior, and it makes it very difficult.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand. That's why we like really encourage that people like engage
Big brother.
with neighbors, and encourage others to participate in the program. But we understand that's definitely an adjustment. We actually met with a co-op once and they were telling us that, oh, we're gonna have cameras there where we have the brown bin. And if we see that you're not using it properly and you're gonna be paying for that fine, you know, like some, so
That's a little distasteful, isn't it?
but
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just had one comment. Ezra, there's no chat feature, so if you can send all the information to our office, we'll make sure to get it out and put it on the website. The only question I had a couple of questions related to the enforcement of the fines. You said currently it's only for 30+ units and after 4 fines, and that's gonna roll out to the other units, buildings with less units. When is the rollout? What is that gonna look like?
Well, so the rollout already happened last October.
Right.
October 6th, it became citywide, same day as your recycling day, for all 5 boroughs. Fines for non-compliance actually started April 1st of this year, and that is for 8 or more units. The first offense would be $25, the second offense $50, the third offense $100. And for 9 or more units, it is 100 for the first offense, 200 for the second, and 300 for the third offense. And then just last Friday, this is when it changed. So this is very new. This is a new update. It's changed last Friday. That now it's buildings that have 30 or more units and they've had 4 warnings or more. And they're getting fined for non-compliance until the end of this year. So, yeah.
Currently it's DSNY, and is there a plan for DSNY to increase their budget to enforce this? Or I'm just trying to figure out like what's the additional work and costs associated behind all of this to enforce and issue fines and stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, we could reach out to Marissa Yani, who's our liaison with DSNY.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here with any questions, comments?
Peter, did you have your hand raised?
I did. It was that DSNY has sanitation enforcement agents. They also have a supervisor who goes around and covers a 10-block area, and they will give warnings and fines or tickets. So that's how it has been handled. I don't know if there's new plans, so the idea of reaching out to them is always a good idea. So sorry.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think there are any other questions or comments in the audience. So thank you so much, Azra, for coming. And as the program is rolled out over the course of the year, maybe by the end of the year, we might invite you back.
Okay.
Because let's see how the uptake of the program is at the different buildings. And maybe you'll have more data and more specific issues that you can come back to us and discuss. But thank you very much for your time tonight and for everything that you're doing. Seema has a question.
Just in terms of data, is there some way that you can see which buildings are more compliant than others? Is that like either by tickets issued or something like that? Is there some plan to figure that out?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We do have open data like statistics, when that's like per like district or like community board. But in terms of like buildings, they, that there's any stats like that.
Got it. I just thought it'd be helpful in terms of like more education, at least for those, buildings that might need it.
Yeah. And I think that would be a good question for Marissa Yani, our DSNY liaison.
Yeah,
You know, maybe she knows. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Audra, for joining us.
Thank you so
Really
much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
So that was the last item on our current agenda for tonight. And now we have some old business to discuss, and I'll go through it very quickly. So I just ask for your patience. The first item is Harlan Meer. I think by now everybody has gotten the notice about the Davis Center's opening, and if you can spare the time to go for a tour, I think it would be just really great. Seema, you're not part of the committee, but you should know that, Harlan Meer, the Davis Center, Center is opening on the 26th. And if you're interested, in fact, we should maybe send it out to the whole board. So, they're offering like on the hour tours of the new facility all the time. And then at later dates, they're offering, other tours. Oh, they're also.
Yeah, they're pretty much, yeah.
Oh, wow.
All of them are sold out.
But on the 26th, there's an event open to the public, and they say that they'll have tours on the hour every hour. So I think,
Do they plan to finish the entire area, the whole project then?
we will find out.
No, because I was just told today by somebody who was there that there's still hard hats and it looks like it's very far from completion.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. When we get there, I'm sure we can ask them. I mean, swimming season is, I don't know when pools open in the city. Does
They
anybody?
open Memorial Day.
Oh, they
I think so.
That's not too far. Yeah. We also have an update by our own Alex Bell about the news racks project that he was working on. So go ahead, Alex.
See my screen. So everyone did a great job sending in pictures. We have 56 locations in the Upper West Side that have news racks, and we have 76 news racks that we have mapped out all throughout the district. Some interesting data points is that you can see that the amount of news racks south of 72nd Street is 1, which is quite interesting. If you remember, I had talked to some business improvement district people in other parts of the city, not in our district, who said that they actually removed the news racks without asking for permission. So maybe that is the reason, but unconfirmed why 72nd Street has none. But you can definitely see south of 96, we have an even higher density of news racks. North, yeah. And we have, this all started, we asked Colleen or DOT for an update, and they said file a FOIL request. So we had a FOIL request, which took many months to get to the point where it was available for us to submit data. And so we've submitted the data now, and they have 30 days to provide an adequate response to our FOIL request, which, we'll see if they meet the 30 days. But in the meantime, feel free to send any news racks or others that you see, and we can keep updating our data source. But yeah, thanks to everyone who sent in great pictures of news racks.
Is the goal to get rid of the news racks or?
Yeah, I mean, well, in the requirements, it says, for instance, that it can't be 10 feet from a corner. So this one is definitely on a corner. It can't be near a subway. Most of them are near subways. It can't be graffitied or dirty. All of these are graffitied or dirty. So yeah, I think in general, we do question what is the purpose of the news racks now, but as it's currently written, the DOT is supposed to make sure that they're in good working order and stuff. So all of these locations fail that test. So these should all be ticketed and or removed. But we'll see if it happens.
And I think I heard at one of our previous meetings, somebody said that they're now being totally abused because there was some report of a gun being found inside.
Oh my God.
Them. Or like somebody said that people use a lot of the publications if like they're out with their dog and they don't have a bag. So, you know, I mean, so what is the purpose?
A lot of the boxes don't have anything in them at all.
And a lot of them
A
are
lot of the
simply
newspapers
empty.
are defunct.
So, you know, I do want to thank Alex for doing all the work.
Yeah.
I want everybody taking it upon himself for the initiative and doing all the hard work, and for everybody who submitted photos. But please note that he's still going to keep this live, and if anybody's walking around in our district and just comes across an ugly news rack, please do take a photo and send it to him, because he can always add more to the FOIL request, and it just strengthens our, you know, our case against something like this that really there's no need for it. It's one of those very small quality of life issues that is now so much part of our landscape that we don't even think about it anymore. But if you actually think about it, there's really no reason for them to be out there. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Can you share the map with us so that when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do walk around, like with the committee a link, so that when we do walk around and do something, we can check to see if it's already been.
Sure.
Thank you.
And do come back to us with an update if you hear anything from the team. Okay, thank you. And the last item of old business relates to Birdie Square. Steve Simon from the Parks Department came back to us a couple of weeks ago saying that there was a minor modification to the resolution that we passed last December about the renovation, the infrastructure renovation of the Birdie Square, where they were, remember, going to put in new lighting, water access, and make the walkway more accessible. And the change they're making is specifically to the walkway. You know, where people, the area where people sit, they had to make it accessible and more sort of like, I guess, hardy. And initially they had recommended, and what we approved was asphalt. But they went back and they said that actually a better material is a diamond-shaped grid, which is filled with crushed rock. And it will look sort of similar to what is there right now. It will still serve the purpose of being fully accessible, but this they felt was a more appropriate material. It will reduce the compaction of the soil. It will allow for better drainage. It will also blend in with the existing natural area better than asphalt, and it will obviously be accessible. And also our question back to them was, has this material ever actually been used in the city? And there are two areas where it has actually been successfully implemented. There's the Garden of Resiliency in Queens, and more recently it was installed in the garden at St. Martin Park, which is on First Avenue and 35th Street. So given that it's a more appropriate material, we are also told by the Parks Department that the Friends of Birdie Square are in favor of it, and it's more it'll blend in better with the natural habitat over there. We are recommending through a letter to the LPC to approve this modification. So we just wanted to inform the committee about it. And we'll ship.
Or something?
Yeah, I have photos on my phone that I can, you know, show people. Yeah, actually, I'll forward the photos to you. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
So, and the letter, did it actually go out or? Oh, okay. Okay, and the letter went out, I guess, tonight. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Anything? I see Matt Genrich.
Yeah, hi, Daria. I was trying to figure out how to raise my hand. A couple things I wanted to just clarify. So beaches open up Memorial Day weekend, but pools open at the end of June, that first weekend after public school is out. So I think this year that's I think the 28th of June, I believe. So they have a little bit more time to finish up the pool before it opens up this summer here. And then a couple other things that I wanted to mention. May 3rd at Frederick Douglass, there's a family fun day on that Saturday from 12 to 3. And then in a nearby park just outside of the district, Morningside Park is going to have free jazz from May to September every second Saturday, which we sent those flyers along to CB7 to be able to make sure people in the community are aware of. And happy to hear about the information that Steve passed along to you about the changes at Verde Square. I think it's going to make the space look a lot nicer than black asphalt running through the site.
Great. Thank you very much, Matt. And Peter, you have your hand up still. Was that an old hand, or would you like to say something? Peter Oxton.
He's muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, I didn't realize my hand was up. So that must have been up before. So no, I'm pleased to see Matt and hear his report, but and everything that you're doing. Thank you very much for being part of this committee.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and motion to adjourn.